Hello, hello. I am Jamila McMallow, and I help my clients crush their limiting beliefs and heal their inner child so that they can enjoy a more fulfilling relationship with the good husband they have, break through their income ceiling in their business, and feel like $1 million while they're doing it all. Today, I'm talking with you about daddy issues and your marriage. Now, you may be thinking, okay, I'm married to a good man. So what are my daddy issues? Or I don't have daddy issues, right? You may be thinking that, but I'm going to break down for you exactly why this is what's causing, it is the biggest reason for why you are not feeling fulfilled in your marriage right now to your good husband. And I emphasize good husband because this video is not for women who are married or who are in a toxic relationship. It's not who I'm talking to. I'm talking to women who have essentially George Costanza their life. And by that, what I mean is if you're a Seinfeld fan, there was a character on the show and his name was George Costanza. He was a hot mess. His life was always in shambles. He made bad decision after bad decision. So at some point, he decided, okay, if every decision I make is wrong, whenever I'm faced with a choice, I'm going to do the opposite of what I'm naturally inclined to do and see what happens. I've got nothing to lose. Well, when he did that, he actually ended up getting a well-paying job. He got engaged. His whole life changed for the better in every way. However, he ended up ultimately sabotaging himself, going back to a way of life that was familiar, and that was living in chaos, dysfunction, and his life being a hot mess and in shambles. So what can happen is when you're married to a good man and you're feeling unfulfilled, it can be because there is a disconnect between your construct of what you believe to be true, possible, and allowed when it comes to men, what they're like, what it is to be in a relationship with them, and what your expectations are for how they should be treating you. So that's your set of beliefs that you have. And then you have your husband over here who doesn't fit into that. And so that's why can create this sense of disconnection and this sense of like you don't feel fulfilled, like you just don't know what's missing, but something is. And so I'm going to tell you, yes, it's related to the relationship you had with your father as a little girl. Why? Because how you experienced your father's presence or absence had the biggest impact on your relationships with men going forward. And that can be true even if your father wasn't around, was a bad example, maybe he mistreated your mom, or you were a daddy's girl and you had a great relationship with him and he was your world and you idealized him and you looked up to him. He was like your hero. Either case, it's still daddy issues because it still shaped the construct for how you view men and relationships with men. And this construct that you have for that does not fit the man that you've chosen to marry. Because in a moment of clarity and wisdom, you did choose wisely. You did choose someone who possesses all the healthy qualities and ways of being and character that, yes, you should be with. But for whatever reason, you just don't feel drawn to it. It's not hitting for you on some level. And that's because it's not in the box. Okay? It doesn't fit in the box. And so what has to happen in order for you to find that fulfillment in your marriage is we have to go back and address the box, what's in the box. And how that box was formed was by that relationship with your father in childhood. Yes, your daddy issues. And so what that could look like if you had a negative relationship with your father or he wasn't around, you may have internalized that you weren't worthy of time, energy, attention. If he was around but maybe worked a lot, you might have held back. You didn't tell him how you really felt because maybe you didn't want to be a burden. Or he was maybe emotionally unavailable or just unavailable. And in your past, you may have found yourself in relationships with men who embodied that. Toxic relationships with men who seemed to never give you quite what you needed. And you seem to always be overgiving or overdoing or whatever. And then conversely, if you had a good relationship with your father and you idealized and looked up to him, you were a daddy's girl, you may have come to believe that he is like the epitome of what it is to be a good man, including all of his bad qualities. And so you actually went out looking for a replica of him in every way, including his negative traits and characteristics. And even though he may have been a good father and you may have been a daddy's girl, you've got to look at the relationship he had with your mother. Did he drive her crazy? That wasn't for no reason. And so it's for those reasons that, you're going out and you're seeking a man that possesses these qualities that actually are the things that are causing the relationship to be toxic. I'll give you an example. There's a lady that had a father who she was very close to. He was like her hero. She looked up to him, everything. But he was very judgmental. And she constantly found herself in relationships with men who were very judgmental of her. Now, her father was never judgmental of her, but he was judgmental of everybody else. And she found herself in these constant toxic relationships with these judgmental men where she could never be herself, where she always held back, where she was constantly changing and becoming a chameleon to try to fit in with whatever it was this man wanted her to be, not really realizing it was because she was drawn to this judgmental quality in this man, because in her mind, these are the things that good men have. This is the ideal. This is what it means. Even though on a conscious level, it's not making sense at all. She doesn't like it. She doesn't enjoy it, but it's what's familiar. It's what she knows. And familiarity is what makes us feel at home, even if it's toxic and dysfunctional. So I was actually able to help her to kind of crack it wide open. And she was able to see the connection between what was going on and how she was viewing her husband and how her relationship with her father had an impact on that. She had a massive shift, a massive breakthrough, and now she is enjoying a relationship with her husband like that she didn't think was possible. And they've been married over 10 years. She thought she was going to have to get a divorce and leave him and all these different things. Even though he had never done her any wrong, there was nothing wrong with him. She just felt like, it's blah, whatever, this isn't for me. And she just constantly questioned herself and beat herself up about it. You might find yourself in a situation to where your mother and your girlfriends are all condemning you for the way that you feel, like, oh, you're just ungrateful, or you ought to be happy. Or maybe they're giving you even worse advice, which is like, well, it's the brave and courageous thing to leave and go do you, and that's not what she wanted. And so after going through my training, she realized that the solution to her problem, the solution to her lack of fulfillment in her marriage, was she had to do the deep work on herself to break that connection to her father, rewrite the script on that construct and definition of what it meant to be a good man and what a happy, healthy relationship actually looked like, and see her husband and marriage through fresh eyes. And like I said, now she's head over heels and just cannot believe that she almost threw it away for this issue that she was totally unaware of. That's something that is my little secret sauce. Is I love to blow the lid off of stuff, blow it wide open on stuff that you're like, what? That's it? That's what's going on? Yes, honey, and more yes. So obviously, if your relationship with your father was negative, sometimes it's easier to understand, but not quite. Because you would think, right, your father was this bad example, or he mistreated your mom, or he mistreated you, or he just wasn't around altogether. So you went out in the world and you had this string of toxic relationships that kind of mirrored how he was. And so you said, you know what? I know what I don't want, so I'm going to marry the opposite. But now here you are married to the opposite and you're still not happy and you can't figure out why. And it's because, remember, your box of negativity, all the negative things that you feel and believe about men, they're untrustworthy, they're liars, they're unreliable, all that stuff is still true. And so your husband doesn't fit that. He doesn't match that. He doesn't embody that. He has all these amazing, beautiful qualities and characteristics that don't fit in with this. And so you have to change this. This is what has to change. Not him. Not couples counseling. This is not a couples problem. This is what's going on in here with you that has to shift and change so that you're able to see your husband for who he really is and not who you're trying to jive him or make him out to be, so that your beliefs and construct are proved true. Because let me tell you, your mind is in the business of proving you right. And so if you believe all men are liars, if you believe all men are trustworthy, if you're used to toxicity, if you're used to dysfunction, and now you're married to a good man and life's kind of peaceful and quiet, you're going to be the one bringing the drama And the subconscious reason is because that's what you're used to. That's what's familiar. And so that's what you're trying to create. But it's going to end up sabotaging and ruining your relationship with your husband, with your good husband. And I know that you don't want that. So I've got 2 recommendations for you. The first one is I want you to look in the description box below this video, and you're going to see my free masterclass, Your Independence as a Woman versus Your Marriage. And I titled it that because I know that you are extremely driven. You're ambitious. You're powerful. You have a big personality. You're a go-getter. And so you may have even said to yourself, I'm just too independent. Maybe I just am not cut out to be married. Maybe I just shouldn't have gotten married, blah, blah, blah. No, honey, it ain't got nothing to do with that. None of that. It doesn't have anything to do with that. So that's the good news. And so in this masterclass, I'm taking a deep dive into a lot of these areas that I've touched on in this video. And I'm asking you the questions, and I'm causing you to do the thinking that you need to do in order to really understand what's going on behind the scenes within you, preventing you from having that fulfilling relationship that you truly desire to have with your husband. The second thing I want you to do is I want you to DM me on Instagram at Jamila McMallow. That'll also be in the description below this video. And I want you to tell me a little bit about your story, what's going on, because I would encourage you to comment below. But what I know is married women, especially married women who are, for the most part, happy, right? You don't have a toxic marriage. Your husband is a good man. And so what you don't want is you don't want people to think that you're having problems, and you don't want people to think less of him. So you're not trying to complain about him in a public forum. So that's why I encourage you to just go ahead and privately message me on Instagram, follow me, and then send me that direct message and just kind of let me know what's going on. And we can chat about it and see if I have a solution that might work for you to help you reconnect and have that fulfillment that you're strongly desiring to have in your marriage to your good husband. Okay? So I want to thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing you here next time.